All right, we're live. Hey, everyone, and welcome. I am Casey Cheshire. Welcome to Cheshire Impact's webinar panel discussion on email best practices, what B2B can learn from B2C. It's a panel discussion. What does that mean? It means I have some experts here, great people, amazing friends, and just really smart, smarter than I am by far. And so I can't wait to pick their brains on different email tactics. And sometimes we get siloed in the idea of B2C, B2B. And as we'll see, we're going to beat up those topics shortly. But the idea is no matter what industry you're in or what category you're in, you could borrow techniques and topics and ideas from other industries. And that is really where the magic comes in, because your competitors probably aren't going to do that. So you can really get an edge over them. So we've got two great experts here. They're going to be sharing their thoughts. It's a Q&A styled webinar. So for those in recording, we've got a lot of people here live. If you couldn't make it, that's okay, but it's a way more fun attending live because you get to say crazy things in the Zoom webinar chat. Ask your questions. So if you hear me referring to ice cream flavors or some random topic, it's because of the chat. And anyone attending here live, ask your questions at any time. Those of you on a recording, if you get here and you have a question, it's burning in your soul, email me, casey@cheshireimpact.com, and we'll get you an answer. All right. Housekeeping. Is Q&A at the end? Yes, we will do Q&A at the end, but for the love of all things good, ask your questions at any time, because otherwise, like me, you might forget them and then not ask them. Where's the fun in that? It is being recorded. We will send you all that recording. Cool. So what is the goal for today? The goal is to learn how we can make our B2B marketing emails have that customized personal touch that we so often see in the B2C side to do what? To actually drive more engagement. We want to make emails that encourage people to take action and reach out, contact us, click, whatever it is, take action. So with that, time to introduce our experts. I am joined today by marketing consultant, mentor, president of the Quick Wins Department, Juliana Casale.
Hey, everyone.
So do you want to say anything about yourself or what you do?
Sure. So I've been in the B2B SaaS space for the past 10 years as an in-house marketer, and then I recently went consultant just to see what that other side of the coin is. And so I help companies with their website copy and their optimization. I help them with their email sequences. And so it's been really fun to work with different types of companies that need different things from me, just leveraging my expertise. So, I've worked at content marketing platforms before. I worked at Crazy Egg, which is a website optimization company. So I've used my background to help with these different challenges. And email is one of my favorite things to work on. So I'm really excited about today's topic.
Absolutely. And we first chatted on the podcast. It was an awesome episode. And what I really was inspired by is you just left no stone unturned. You just threw stuff out there, and it was kind of like no holds barred. None of this like sacred language around a certain kind of email you can and can't send. It's like, hey, whatever works, whatever gets this information to the buyers, like, let's do it. So I can't wait. Just hope that the gloves are off now and you're just ready to come out swinging. All right. And we'll probably put a link to your episode and also to Keith's episode. And my next guest is amazing guy, Facebook ad ninja, marketing strategist, director of business development at Classic Photographers. I used to work with him, and he does this amazing job of blending the B2C and the B2B worlds amazingly well. Keith, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, Casey. Yeah, totally happy to be here. I really consider myself an email deliverability nerd. I've spent about the last a little over a year just digging in and putting all my energy on figuring that out, solely because I think if you have a list and you're doing it right, your cost of conversion is so much lower if you can just deliver email better. So really excited to talk about email deliverability.
Good call. Yeah, we need a message to get through, right? One thing to send it, but it has to get through, and then people have to take action on it. And one of the things that I know we'll talk about later is the kind of emails that you've sent that you've gotten like 50% or more response rate on just from being a human. So that'll be fun to get into that. All right, questions for the panel. Let's see. Let's start off with a bang here. Let's start off with something crazy. Check out the chat. In the chat, we've got the links to both of their podcasts. So the idea is if you want more of whatever you're hearing here, go check out the podcast where both these amazing guests get to just really pour out their heart and soul. But if you have any questions, ask them now. All right. First question. What are some poor marketing email marketing examples? Wow, that was not good. What are some poor email marketing examples that you've seen in the past? The worst of the worst. Who wants to start off?
I actually used to work at a company when I joined. This is, I saw what it was like when I joined, and I vowed to never do this to anyone again. But they were sending 13 emails in 4 days if you signed up for their freemium business plan. So I was horrified. It was just too much, way too much.
It's like water torture.
Yeah,
How did people just not mass unsubscribe?
that's why they needed me.
Did you put a kibosh on that?
Oh man, that was the hill I was going to die on, and I fortunately didn't have to die on. Everyone kind of knew that it was the wrong thing to do. They just didn't know what else to do. So
You needed an outsider to come and be like, guys, this is really a bad idea. Let's not do that. Yeah, email frequency is such a big deal, right? Like just the idea of, would you want to do that? It's like, do unto others, right? Would you want to receive 13? I don't, even my parents, I don't want to receive 13 emails in 4 days. There's no one, even you guys email me. I mean, you guys are awesome, but I don't want to receive.
Send you 13
Right?
emails in 4 days.
Seriously.
Challenge
Even if I had a
accepted.
coupon for ice cream. What's that?
I said challenge accepted.
Oh no. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Try me, Keith. Can you unsubscribe from personal emails? Mark is spam.
Mark is
Exactly,
spam.
Katie. And for the record, I do like sherbet, Andy. So don't be hating on ice cream. All right. 13 emails in 4 days. Pretty bad one. Keith, what do you got?
I hate tone deafness of email where they're sending you emails for things you're not interested in and things you haven't engaged in. So, I'd like to talk a lot about segmentation and speaking to your client or whoever you're emailing based on their area of interest in what you do. And also not treating your emails like landing pages. That's why you have landing pages. The goal of an email, so you don't need to put all your information right in the email. The goal of the email is to get them to read it, get the information they're specifically interested in, and land them where you want them to land. Use the landing page as the landing page, not the email. You ever get emails and it just has like 32 pictures of every product they ever ordered and all the descriptions and all, like, that's not what email's for.
That doesn't work.
Besides the fact that those barely deliver anyway. So
Seriously. Yeah. The tone deafness, right? It's just like we take it as a personal affront. Like, you wasted my time with this terrible thing. That's a pretty crazy example. I'll share my example, and while I'm sharing mine, if anyone has their own in the chat, their own terrible experience that you want to immortalize, publicly shame anybody, you can throw the brand out there. It's up to you, but just throw your example in the chat. And so my example is it was another Salesforce partner, right? Some like competitor. And somehow I'm on their database and they sent me this email, or maybe they did one of those bad list builds or something, but I got an email from them. And this was like early days of COVID when I was really kind of much more afraid and like, what is this thing anyways? And it was like said COVID 13 times in the first 3 paragraphs, like COVID, 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 COVID. And it was like, we care deeply about you. We want you to be well. And so because of that, we're here to help. And how we're going to help you is by allowing you to buy hours of our consulting time, right? That was like their thing. Like, this is how we're going to help you. And I was like enraged, like Hulk Casey came out like, are you kidding me? And so I grabbed the email and I threw it up on LinkedIn. I hated on it. And I left the logo off there. I don't know why. It's like proper Casey has to leave it off there. But I was just so mad, man. They were abusing it. I hate when people say they care and they really don't care. Like if you don't care, just don't say anything. And let me guess if you do or not. But it's almost like lying, right? To say this and it's actually not this. Boss says, make sure the email is about COVID, right? Yeah. Oh, it's about COVID. All right. It's crazy. Actually, I had another one. I don't know if this reminds you guys of any other emails that you've had. One was this guy who basically, I mentioned lying. He lied the first 4 sentences, and each sentence was a paragraph. His first thing was like, hello, this is Mark from Naples, Florida, and I am really sending you this email. I'm like, you see the length of it. You're like, probably not. Second thing, we have like looked at your website and your funnel and analyzed it and have found some areas to fix. And like, probably didn't do that either. He's like, it really is me or something like lie again. And it was like, oh, we analyzed your company. You are a perfect fit for us. And like, probably lied again. It was like, lie. I was like,
It's just straight up
ah,
phishing. That's just straight up phishing,
is that
right?
what it
It's
is?
just like, yeah, they're just those. Yeah, I get like one or two of those a day, and they always have like a, convenient like subject. They can be really sneaky about the subject. I'm going to take a peek at this, and you're like, oh, okay, it's just another person trying to sell me SEO or something. Yeah,
Right.
those are the
Right.
worst.
You know, it's funny. It was like it was a marketing, um, like thought leadership association, like one of those like marketing test labs or something. I was like, I actually tried calling the guy. He was on vacation. I just wanted to call him and be like, are you a real person? Do you know how terrible your email is? But I called him and he never called me back. So that's another story for another day. But some of the examples in the chat here, I love when they criticize you. Oh, have you guys gotten those? Getting the
Yep.
emails that they
Oh,
hate
yeah.
on you? They're like,
Your
you're,
homepage is terrible. Yeah.
oh, is that what they said? Like your homepage is terrible?
Well, if they want to help you with your optimization, they'll neg you, right? It's like
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
at a bar and they're trying to whittle you down so that they can take advantage of you
Right.
not feeling great about yourself.
Terrible marketing, Casey. Do this better.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah, criticize you. Oh, tied to the criticizing is the emails that say, should we really do this? I've tried emailing you 9 times. It's like, I marked you spam all 9 times. Why are you still coming through on Google? Like,
Yeah,
should we
that's
really do this? Should we really talk? Like, are you not able to commit to this? Are you just not serious? It's another neg, it sounds like. You're just like, no, I'm not. Ugh, like, get out of here. It's gross.
I mean, I think we talked about this before, but like I've almost like got to the point where I've gotten really good at blocking those out. I'm just like, this isn't real. Delete. I mean, sometimes I might delete something that's not even that I shouldn't have, but I don't even waste time with those anymore. Like I love to look for the people doing the right things because that's where I've learned like some of the best emails I ever sent is paying attention to like what other people are doing and be like, that's a good email. I'm gonna, so I try to take that same like logic and flip it
Yeah.
around. Like who's, you know, what are people doing wrong so I don't do that, but what are people really doing right, and like let me test that. That looks like a good subject line. This looks like a good approach to sending an email. I'd like to look for the positives too.
It's a good point. I think it's more fun to talk about the negatives
I
sometimes,
know, yeah.
but you're right. You get to be the angel on one shoulder, and so the devil is.
I just
But
had to bring that in.
couple things in the chat, and then let's kind of go to that positive side. Lazy brought up like when it's full of spelling errors and grammar errors, like you just what is this? It's not even from some foreign land trying to sell you gold from their grandfather or something. It's just like, really? You did this? Miss up the there and there. If they spell my name wrong, I automatically delete. Yeah. What is that? How does it even happen? That's worse than worse. That's worse than buying bed. I don't know how that works. The other day I won an Audi won an Audi and a $900,000 via email. Yeah, I'm sure you did, Nina. Well, Nina, I have a lot of things to sell you, and if you want to take me out for ice cream, you're buying. That's such a huge point. So, one more thing. Andy brings up, they try to be so cute. Oh yeah. This is tied to the neg one. Okay, so it's like select yes or no in the country song. Select one. Yes, set up a meeting. 2, maybe next week. Or 3, I'm hiking the trail to Machu Picchu and not available. Like, oh, that's so cute. No, I don't want your thing. No value. Why should I have a talk with you? It's a great point. So good. So Keith, let's talk about the positive side. So have you seen any on the flip side where, and I know we're gonna get into specifics soon. So I know we're having fun here, but we're gonna get into some more specifics. But you brought up a whole positive twist. Have you seen any of the positive ones lately that really caught your eye?
Yeah, I did actually. To name a brand, I saw a few weeks ago, I saw Sticker Mule. I bought some stickers from them, and I noticed the emails that I got, they all come from the CEO. Obviously, we're all in marketing automation. We know he's not sitting down sending them, but I thought that was a nice spin. But it was literally, it's something I've been doing for years, but it was 2 or 3 sentences with a link, and just one link, no logo, no images, nothing. And that's really what's delivering these days. And so I saw that, it kind of just reminded me again, I'm like, here's another company I know does a pretty good job marketing. And I'm like, and they're doing it right. And it kind of just put it back in my head. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take that logo out of my email and try split test that. I haven't done that in a while, so that was one I've seen recently that I really liked. Short, sweet, exactly. Hey, we're having a sale this week. $19 for 50 stickers. Click here if you're interested, and that was it, and I clicked through actually and bought stickers that day. And
You
it is
converted.
something I had opted into recently or whatever. So, I try to look at what emails are actually landing in my inbox and not in promotions. And then I ask myself, like, how did this get in my inbox? And I really, because, like the rest of you, I do a good job saying this is spam, or if I'm not interested, I just delete it so I can teach Gmail that, I don't want anything to do with this. I'm always thinking, like, as a marketer, as I'm going through my own emails, like, how can I teach Gmail, like, please don't send me any more of these, right? I'm going to delete this. I'm going to mark this as spam. But if there's something like, I'm like, I get emails from this person every now and then, and I may want to read it someday. I just give it a quick open, even if I'm not going to read it right now or ever, just to kind of teach my inbox, like, this is something I'm interested in. So whenever something lands in my inbox, I'm like, how did this get here? And I look it through and say what things did they use in their email? What kind of words? How does their subject line look? Did they use images? Did they not? So
it's a really good point to look at your, assuming I'm here. Maybe not.
Oh, did I freeze? Was that Casey? Oh, okay.
No, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, what's fun? I like having more than one person here because when I freeze, I get to see if all of you are frozen. It's me.
That's what I just look for. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just saw someone in the chat said drift. It's like their model. Yeah, absolutely. And that's like, the 8-word email I used to call it. I've kind of expanded upon that. You'd see that on my podcast. I think now, that's kind of getting flagged as spam. So meaning just send out a quick email like, hey, have you had a chance to review the last email I sent you? Something like that, question mark. Just trying to elicit an answer, right? Because we're humans. We want to have conversations. And that's really what I wanted to know from them. I don't need to send them 32 things with all my products, right? So now I think you want to have more than one sentence if you really want to get good deliverability. That used to work well. But and I see in the chat here, Katie says, did you just say logo isn't there? Just making sure I heard you right. Yeah, that's a new thing I've been doing. You really, if at all possible, you want zero images in your emails. I know it sounds crazy, logo, brand identity. It's just what's delivering right now. And you know what? Any advice any of us have, I always say split test it, right? So I send about 1 million emails a month. And I have so many segments, it's crazy. But like, if I have a new email I've never sent out before, I'm going to send it 3 or 4 different ways to a small segment first. And then I'm going to see which one delivered best. And obviously I'm going to use as little variables as possible if I can in those segments. But yeah, I can tell you right now from what I've been testing, like, sometimes depending on the email you're sending, I would leave out the logo because that is an image and it'll be picked up as an image. And one image is generally okay. 0 is better if you can get away with it. If it's something you think you don't need to build that, brand awareness. Like if you have images of yourself and your logo all in your signature and it's not a like highly engaged segment you're sending to, you're going to land in that promotions tab or spam folder if you're not careful. So
yeah, it's a great point. I love, by the way, these active tips, and you're just like all your tests. We're going to ask you more about them in a little bit, but just the idea of looking at your inbox to see what showed up and what showed up in which box, like what showed up in the promotions box, what actually got to your inbox, what actually got to the front and center, the meaty place. Did a marketing message get there? And if so, what did it look like? And adjusting and learning from your own inbox. It's a smart idea. Julian, what kind of this is on the same question back to you, that the positive, have you seen any of the positive emails that are working well? Anything that doesn't deserve being banned?
I actually got a really awesome email sequence from Bloom, which is an e-commerce company. They do face care, kind of women positive stuff. And I bought their face wash and it got delivered to my house. Really liked it. Got an email from a person, again, what Keith was saying, like, I had a happiness guide email and she said, really hoping you're enjoying the product. We want to give you specific tips for making your experience even better. If you want them, text us. And so this email said, text us. And so I said, oh, well, I wonder what happens because, I'm curious and I'm a marketer. So I said, all right. So I texted them. and then it asked me a question through the text. So then I said, I'm actually struggling with this product. Like I enjoy it, but it's not doing what it said it would in the ad that I clicked on. And so from that answer in the text, they sent me to a video that had a custom 1-minute tip on how to optimize it, get over the hump of using it. And so I just thought the whole flow from email to text to video was really interesting, compelling, engaging, different. It wasn't the same thing I always saw from brands that are just like, buy this product again. It was actually asking me what my experience was like. It was trying to help me get the most out of it. I understand that returns are a big thing for e-commerce, so they obviously didn't want me to return it if they could avoid it. And so, you know, it's in their best interest, but it also made me feel like they were paying attention to my experience with the product. So I thought that was really interesting and innovative and a little off the beaten path of what you usually see in an email.
Yeah, not your status quo, what you'd expect them. Good, buy another one. It's like, I just bought one. I've used it like twice. Like I don't need another one yet. Like that would be so poor timing. Instead, they're really trying to ensure that how your experience is right now is really good. And yeah, interesting that they went to some videos and I'm sure you appreciate that as a professional yourself, looking like, huh, this is interesting. This is not the normal, you know, run of the mill, you know, boring stuff there. I mean, they actually were interesting videos. They're trying to help you. They weren't too long. That's interesting.
I love the text in the email too, like, you know, engaging them in another way if they're interested. Yeah, I love it.
So now let's get to one of the topics tied to the title of this presentation, which either drove people here or drove them away, which is the idea of B2C and B2B. Are they, you know, the concept of like business to consumer, selling consumer goods, simple things, small purchase prices versus B2B, business to business, or it's usually a considered sale or a complex sale. Are they different? Are they the same? Let's start with you, Juliana, first. Like, what's your take?
Yeah. So, all right. So at the root of it, you know, B2B, you're trying to get someone to subscribe or try something digital and then keep paying for it. Cause I know we all know churn is a big problem in B2B, like not just get the initial investment or purchase, but keep them using the product, right? And then B2C, you're trying to get them to buy something physical and then keep buying items from you. So really, that doesn't sound all that different. One's physical, one's digital, but it's the same repeated usage that you're aiming for. You know, I think B2C, like they do a really good job on, you know, personalization, like I just said with that email sequence, like really drilling into the experience of the person with the product. And then also community, they do a really good job of, you know, user generated content, like highlighting their customers as champions, really putting a lot into loyalty programs. So I think there's a lot there that B2B can kind of take away. And then, you know, B2C, I think they can really learn from B2B's focus on customer education. I know product marketing is a really big thing for B2B where you're trying to educate them on the best uses for them so that they can see the best results from using your software. And so I think there's a lot, there are different focuses that I think can be stolen on either side, but I think the actual intrinsic goal of both sides is very similar.
Gotcha. How about you, Keith?
Yeah, I would totally agree. Like they should be similar. I think the whole goal of email marketing is to talk to a person, right? Is to make it a personal touch. It's not what it used to be, which it probably should have never been, where you're just sending spam. You know, you're just sending like a postcard you'd get in your mailbox, your physical, you know, you should try to, with all the technology and tools we have today, I think everybody expects, I mean, maybe it's just because we're marketers, but like expects like some sort of personal touch and not just a blanket spam. There's very few emails that I open where I'm like getting just a generic, you know, I think B2C does sometimes not such a great job at that, where I'm just getting like a list of every product they have in my email. Like, you know, which you should know which pages, what I've purchased before, show me what I've similar products or, but anyway, my main point is just, yeah, treat everybody you're emailing as a person and talk to them, not at them, you know? And I think that could go a long way, obviously in B2B, because B2B, you're trying to build those personal relationships. And so, and I think B2C does do a good job at that sometimes of, you know, really talking to the person, giving, like you had said, reviews, product case studies, like here's why people love our product. We do spend a lot of time in that in B2C as well. So.
Yeah, it seems like we've been trained, you know, we've been trained by the best B2C consumer experiences, the Netflixes, the Amazon. Like it's very easy, too easy for me to buy something on Amazon these days. And I do. And so it's so easy that we expect things to be where we want them, to get answers to our questions, to chat if we need to, to your point, Juliana, like the experience has really been considered. But it's like, what are the kind of things we can borrow from that? You know, they really focus on experience. Cool. Maybe the B2B world needs to focus more on experience, how people are feeling in the moment. Don't just be all cold case studies, cold case files all the time with all your here's another PDF for you. It's like, how you feeling? You know, maybe we need to send you some chocolate or something because, right? And whereas on the B2C side, maybe that the education needs to come back into play. It's like these things catch our attention because they're doing something that we're breaking the rules, but it's a rule that helps people. So, but it catches people's attention. Like, oh, thanks. I wasn't expecting that. I think surpassing expectations comes into play too. So we're not really tickled pink anymore by Amazon being a simple one-click purchase process. It's just magic. We probably take it for granted, but to pull that magic out in the B2B world would really impress people. Interesting. Cool. Well, I want to toss it back to everyone here live. We have a poll and we're gonna throw it out at you. We had ice cream poll earlier, but we have another one. But this is more practical, I promise. The question is, what is your biggest challenge with email marketing? Because let's talk about it. I am launching the poll right now. There it is. I will give you 10 seconds to complete it. Only 10. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna give you a million seconds. But I want you to feel like urgency, like B2C urgency. You only have 7 seconds now to complete the poll. So go find it and complete the poll. There we go. Votes coming in. And if you've been like checking your email or playing Minesweeper, does that even exist anymore? Now would be the time to come back to this window. Hello, this window over here, and fill this thing in. I would like to know. Inquiring minds want to know, because then what we'll do is we will ask questions of our guests here about how to tackle some of these issues. Okay. Almost 100% of people voting. Anyone else hanging out? Anyone else? Run back from the kitchen. Run back. Fill out the poll. Okay, cool. You have 5 seconds and we're done. Great. Let's share the results, shall we? Pow.
Like Pam said, all the options. That's good.
What? Oh, yeah, all the options.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a couple that were we had like none of the above, and you put the answer into the chat. So we'll get to those. But so far we had is 5 on creating personalized messages. So we're going to write that. This is like improv, right? We're going to write that down. That's what we're going to talk about, personalizing messages. And then the next runner up to that was none of the above. So we will definitely, anyone that took time to write that, we will address those. We also have some segmentation in there. I do want to ask you about both of your segmentation strategies, because it seems like there's power there. And also, making a marketing email, marketing versus personal emails. People violate that all the time. And subject line, that'll be fun. Talk subject line. But let's go ahead and talk personalization first, because that was a number one. And thank you all for voting on that one too. And making your vote heard. Is that a tie-in to make sure you vote in November? But yeah, so let's talk about personalization. What's the deal? Who wants to tackle this one first? It's important. It's the biggest challenge. Go ahead, duke it out. You can go paper, rock, scissors. Who wants it?
I mean, I'll give Keith this one if he wants. I do have a couple thoughts. First is, I know it's a struggle because you're told, okay, if you want to understand your person who's subscribing for your emails, you ask them information with the form that they're submitting to give you their information. But then, the best practice is shorter the better. Ask the minimum amount of information for the form to be filled. But then how do you segment or personalize when you don't really have that information? So then you got to get a little more creative with when you send them the emails, what paths are you giving them? Are you being able to track what they're opting into or buying or purchasing, or what's their behavior after they've joined your email list? And so I think there's a struggle there, and I totally understand why people get a little tripped up on it. So I'm curious, Keith, I know you're more of a automation whiz. It sounds like you send a lot of these, segmented emails. So I want to get your thoughts on how to go through that obstacle, because I've definitely battled it before.
Yeah, and for sure. I feel the same way. Like one thing about getting too personal, like people can get, I remember when I first had email automation and all these merge fields, I got like super excited and started putting in all this like personal information. Like, we're sending out emails about wedding dates and like your wedding on this location and this date. And like, you're thinking like, oh my gosh, he remembered all, and it seems really personal, right? And maybe it did like 12 years ago, that maybe that did wow some people, but you have to be careful being too personal, because what if your merge fields are all messed up? What if they typed in the wrong information in the field, or like, you know what I mean? Their last name where their first name goes. I mean, I always use first name, but like, I feel like it's cheesy in subject lines these days. That's just my opinion. Some people use it like, hey, Keith, open this email. Like if I see that, I'm like, who, if Casey sent me an email, he'd never use my name in the subject line, right?
Never.
So when I think about personalization, when I sit down to write copy, I'm awful at writing, by the way. I'm also dyslexic, so I have to proofread things like 10 times.
No kidding. Okay.
So, but when I sit down to write an email, I write it as if I'm actually writing to someone. I think about my audience and, who am I writing to? And I write the email. And so when I think of personalization, that's how I think of it, is like really trying to talk to who that segment is. Now, so I know that's getting into a different topic we had on the list, but I think they tie in perfectly, as segmentation and personalization, because that tone deafness I talked about, like, just like, one time Casey and I were talking about like Facebook ads, right? You want to show ads to people for what they're interested in, segmenting those ads. So the same goes for email. So if you have the ability with the technology you're using, like just really segmenting out, you'll get better engagement too, right? So you don't want to email people that aren't opening your emails, right, as a segment, but also if they're interested in a certain product or certain service you offer, you should really try to, segment those into different campaigns and sequences that you're sending out. And so that's where I think the personalization comes in, is like, if you offer, let's say you're a consultant, you offer email marketing, Facebook ads, and SEO, like, and I came on your website, filled out a form, to go back to the forms, right? And I, say, and you're right, you want to keep your forms, at least your initial form, super small, right? Just name and email, just to get them on your list. But I always like to do a 2-step form. Like once they fill that out, I land them on another landing page with more information, and asking them for more information. So I got them into my funnel, right, at the high end. So then my next goal is to get them to fill out another form, whether it's immediately or the next day or something, with a little bit more information. So if they told me I'm interested in learning more about my email marketing coaching, why would I send them an email about SEO? They never told me they're interested in SEO. I might send them one a month or something, like just saying, hey, did you know I also do this? I know you're interested in email marketing, but I also do SEO. So I think instead of getting too crazy about putting too many merge fields into your emails or whatever, like considering what that segment's interested in, and really making sure your email is geared towards that, and not talking about things that they're not interested in. They can figure that out once they get to your website and opt into a different segment, So that's really what I focus on when I think about personalization, is their experience and what emails am I sending them specifically.
And I've actually seen this tactic with B2C, where I subscribe to an email list to get that 15% off little pop-up that you see all the time. And then the email that they sent me said, thanks for subscribing, here's your code. But then they also said, what are you interested in the email? And I could click men's, women's, whatever. And then they have that information, on the back end. And so then they can give me more targeted emails moving forward. So I thought that was a good way. They got my email, they gave me the offer, and then they're asking for more information in a very natural way that, they don't want to send me things that are irrelevant. That's a waste of their time. So, we're both happier. And I think it's interesting because segmentation automation are like the tool parts of this question. And then the personalization is like the writing part of it. And, depending on how technical you want to get. So there was a B2B company I worked at where we actually were able to send emails based on an action you had taken in the dashboard of the product. So if you had tried one feature of the suite of features in the platform, we could say, congrats on using your first, feature. And then, did you know you can also try this? And then it was a drip where they get, depending on how they interacted with the features, they'd get like tips to use them better. Or if they didn't go to the next one, we'd say, hey, reminder, like you're paying for this whole subscription and you're not using all of it. So why don't you try this and this? And again, with the churn, you want to get them adopting as many features as possible so that they're seeing the value. But that's a fairly complex thing for a marketer to do, because I needed a developer's help to trigger the actions in the platform to the email sequence. And we also had to have an email tool where it had the capacity to tag, these people who would take action. So I think that it gets a little complex. Like if you just want to talk about personalization, use the word you, not the word we, make sure it's not coming from team at company name. It's actually coming from a person. Make sure people can reply so they feel like they can actually respond to you. Like those are the personalization tips, but then there's also the segmentation and then like the real personalization, which is the automated experience you can give someone depending on the actions they take.
Yeah, I guess my mind like drifted down that direction of like sending but you're right. Yeah. So like when writing the copy, it should always be addressed to the person. I might address it like from me, like I'm here to help you, but I'll also say my whole team is here as well if you need help. Like, and really just, yeah, real personal that way. And one thing you'd said too, like when you're sending it, I've tested this over and over again to see if it's changed. Like your email should never come from the company name. Like if you have the ability to change it, it should be from you, right? Like, so all the emails from me come from Keith Phillips. It doesn't even say Keith. I've tried like, Keith at Classic Photographers just to kind of let them know what the email's about, but that's what the subject line is for, right? So like if you want to land an inbox, it should be from your name. And that's, I think, super important.
Yeah. Powerful stuff here. One of the takeaways I got from you earlier, Keith, and you didn't necessarily say this, but I'm getting this sense from bringing up personalization, and you as well, Juliana, that the idea that it's not so much the email, but it's customizing the journey. It's personalizing the journey that people go through, and it's less about the trickery on the particular email. It sounds like we got some great best practices around the reply all and you versus we, and write the right language, but not obsessing too much around each individual email as much as it is, do you have the data you need to be able to make the whole thing, customized to a particular buyer persona, whatever type of buyer you have.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, I mean, and this all ties in, right? But I think that journey is going to lead you to getting more opens, because and when you get more opens, your ESPs are going to learn, wow, this email address and this domain and this IP sends great emails. Let's put them into the inbox, so it all ties in. I mean, at the end of the day, really, you want as many click-throughs as possible. To get as many click-throughs, you need as many opens. And so if you're paying attention to the journey, you're going to get more opens. That's the key to the game, right? Because then you're going to land in more inboxes and give more people the opportunity to hear your awesome message. I mean, that's really what it's all about,
My quick 2 cents on the long forms. I saw comment in here from Lucas about the long forms, man. It's a great point. The longer your form, the less people fill it out. It's math. Everyone's done the math. Anywhere from like 1 to or 0.5%, all the way up to like 3 or 5% conversion rates can change by what kind of question you have, especially if it's like a personal question. I once saw a form that was like, "How much do you make every year?" And I was like, "Who are you?" What are you asking? That was like the first form I ever saw from them. It was a required field. So I lied and I said I was a billionaire. It was great. So the long form, short form, one of the things I like to do is get the name, first name, last name, because why not? Email, and then some kind of segmentation question is on that first form and nothing else. And that some kind of segmentation question is like, okay, rather than emailing everybody the same, what's the one thing that would really differentiate you from you? Sometimes it's role. For us, it's usually been role. Like I'm in sales, I'm in marketing, I'm in IT or other or student, right? And then right away I know, okay, talk to this person like a salesperson, talk to this person like a marketer. For us, for what we do in our consulting, that kind of like fits us. But, sometimes people have different kinds of customers they sell to. It's like that one question. And then later on, if you can get more details, great. And I love the idea of that 2-step form, but just that first form, that segmentation question, just so critical for excluding a bunch of people, but also giving them a perfect follow-up email, juicy content that will encourage them to fill out the second form, which will then get more details. But I love how you guys were even bringing up Juliana, the follow-up question. What are you interested in, Keith? Having a second form pop up. I think we should get in the habit of doing that. I'd be curious to know if any of you have stats, though. I wonder what % of people would fill those things out.
Yeah, I don't have any numbers, but I mean, that really does tell you interest level, right? And you could really ramp up the interest level if they've gone and filled out a second or third form on their first visit to your site. Like, those are your people. Like, I'm not going to just email, I'm going to text and call, so yeah, I mean, that's really, I like the idea of the clicking the email too. Like that is one thing we use as well. Like, cause then you could put them in, you can get crazy about it, but you could put them off into different sequences based on what they clicked in that next email, then told you they were interested in, like it. So you're not even using a form there, but you're getting valuable information from just a click. They don't even have
Yeah.
to type anything. Like that's the name of the game, right? People don't even, I hate filling out forms. It's like my least favorite thing to, like,
Yeah.
so if I could just click and tell you what I'm interested in, or, radio dials, check boxes, whatever, that's valuable information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a couple questions are coming in. Great. Keep bringing them in. I will address them as much as we can, as fast as we can. Is it better to send shorter forms throughout the campaign? Yes. Send shorter forms. And it's like a date. You're dating your prospects. You're dating your customers. You're like, hey, don't ask their blood type and how many children they want to have on the first date. Email. And hey, who are you? Are you a dog person or a cat person? That's it. Don't go any deeper, right? Like that's all you need to know. Second form might be what's your phone number and all these other things. And so, yeah, short forms throughout the campaign is totally the way to go. Nina has a great question. Any advice? I'll pass this over to you guys. Any advice for internal marketing emails or for potential employees, like different audience?
Hmm. Is this a personalization question or just in general best practices?
See, the smartest people always ask questions to questions. It's so true. I do the same thing. So yeah, Nina, how can we help you best with that? Are you trying to just get them to read the email and engage with or whatnot? Just throw more details in there for us, and that'd be fantastic. Real quick, while we're waiting for that, we'd mentioned the idea of the app knowing that you took an action. Pardot can do that. So a lot of people listening have Pardot. Pardot can actually do that. If you're interested, shoot me an email, casey@cheshireimpact.com. I'll tell you how people are doing it. But you can actually have, if you have an app or you have like a web portal or anything like that, you can actually have it let Pardot know an action was taking place, and then you can fire off campaigns based on that and do all sorts of segmentation. How to personalize for potential employees. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Employees.
I mean, I would treat it the same way. We do a lot of our recruitment with automation,
Really?
because we have, I mean, they're not employees. We have contractors, thousands of them. So the tone is a little different, but um, yeah, I mean, you want to treat your email like these days, like it's one of the most important tools you have, and you have to nurture it. Like you never want to use bad practices at all, because it's going to hurt your domain, and hurt your reputation for sending to anybody. So like we realized that too, like not just looking at what you send to your customers, but what are you sending internally to each other? What are you sending to yourself as a reminder? What are you sending? So like, yeah, for potential employees, I treat it like a sales funnel. It's the same process, right? I want to use as much of that ahead of time segmentation to send them to the right, should they even bother filling out? I do the same thing. We have a short application form, and then we have a longer one that we use some of those questions to figure out like, where would be best for them within the company, and then send them through a different segmentation, and same thing, you want good open rates there if you're really trying to recruit. So, I mean, I don't know if that helps Nia, but like, I'd really just treat it like, like your sales funnel, really.
Yeah. People progress through stages, kind of approach it the same way. Makes sense. Question I want to bounce off of you, Juliana. Could you please provide an example of how a B2B company could turn their corporate gross
Uh,
sounding, I'm adding this, corporate gross sounding language into a B2C personalization?
Yeah, I think a lot of the B2B emails are sort of authoritative. Like we know what's best for you. We're gonna like push our product to you, and it feels kind of prescriptive. Like we've got the answer, right? And so I think you're making a lot of assumptions when you're marketing that way. And I think the things that I've found most effective when I've gotten emails from B2B companies are they actually ask you. They say, what are you struggling with? Or what challenges are you facing? Or like, it's sort of like the poll that Casey launched is like, what is the one thing that you really want to solve? And then they actually listen, like they allow you to reply, and then they take your replies and they respond. And it's great fact gathering for the B2B company, but it also, again, makes you really feel like the company isn't making assumptions and doesn't know what's best for you. They're trying to tailor the information they're giving you to your actual use case. And so, I think a lot of of good campaigns I've seen also, you know, depending on what vertical you're in, they'll give you content specific to that vertical, or if there's an outcome you're trying to reach, they'll give you, you know, tips on how to give that outcome. So, you know, if you don't want to ask the question directly and have all the replies flood your inbox, I get it. I think that's a really personal, great way to go about it. But you can also, you know, if you are asking a few questions through forms, tailor it to either, you know, yeah, their job title, what vertical they're in, what their desired outcome of using the product is, if you gather that information in some way. So I think that's one thing that's really, it's not this on high entity coming and telling you what's best for you. You know, they're actually asking you or using information you've given them to, you know, kind of empathize with where you're at. And then I also have seen really effective emails from founders of companies where they'll have once a month, it's a letter, you know, and it's not a sales thing at all. It's just sort of a touch point where they say, you know, here's what we're seeing in the industry, or here's what's on our minds, or, you know, and it's personal because it's not trying to get anything out of you. And it kind of humanizes this B2B company. And I love what Keith said earlier about, you know, everyone's a person, you know, just because it's business to business. Well, businesses are run by people. So you're still one-to-one, you know, you're writing this and someone's reading it. And so, you know, having that personal touch where it's someone's name behind it, someone's, you know, just sharing their thoughts. It's, yeah, I mean, I subscribe to a lot of newsletters from consultants or marketers or freelancers, and I love them because they're like letters. They're more what's on my mind right now. And so you can definitely steal that and have that personalized touch. And it just makes you feel closer to this company.
Got it. Great. Great stuff. We're just answering questions like rapid fire here. I got another one for you. This one actually, Keith, I might want to pass this one back to you around the segmentation, because it seems like you're kind of a nerd when it comes to segmenting that 1 million emails a month type deal. Any best tips on starting to segment an already existing large database? Sounds like you've got one too, without much info on them. You don't have much in there.
Yeah, and I actually read Paul's question too, and I kind of want to combine the two.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been where both of you at, Lucas, Paul, like, you know, you have this giant list and you just know, like, you purchased it and you know that kind of makes you a spammer. But it depends, right? Like, I've purchased large lists, but I know they need my product because it came from like another source who opted them in and said, do you also need information on this, right? And they're like, I don't have this, but Keith does, right? So here's my advice for that, right? And it's going to sound scary, but you got to look at it like, just email them once. And if they open, put them into a sequence. If they click, put them into another sequence. And maybe you email them 2 more times if they don't open, like once a month for 3 months. Any more than that, and I know you purchased this giant list and it seems exciting, you know, if you're getting good open rates, you know, that's all you need. You don't need, so if you have a list of 20,000 people and you get a 40% open rate, which I know is high. So let's use 20%, which is industry average. Those are the 20% that you want to sell to. And those are the 20% you want to keep emailing to. They're the ones that are going to buy. So if you have a giant list and they're cold, whether you generated them or not, if they're cold, you can't keep emailing them. You're going to ruin your reputation. And from personal experience, you know, there was a dark time in my email marketing history where I was getting a 3% open rate because what was working for me before when I was getting a 20% changed, right? Gmail changed, Yahoo. Nobody should have a Yahoo Hotmail email. If anybody watching this has Yahoo Hotmail, you get a new email address, get Gmail, please. But right. But anyway, like, it was scary, but I had to stop. I had really great advice. I hired a consultant and he's like, you can't just keep emailing these people. It's going to seem scary, but you have to segment based on people's engagement. And over a year of doing that, less than a year of doing that, we went from a 3% open rate on 1 million email send a month, plus or minus, to now we have a 46% open rate. So do the math, you know, like, so it's going to seem scary at first, but my advice to you is if you have a big giant list, you got to segment based on engagement. If they're not opening, stop emailing them. You can email them once a month. You know, a lot of people, experts say like 6 months, right? You should sunset them at 6 months. I really think sunsetting people at 3 months is pretty smart. You can try re-engagement campaigns, you know, either through, you know, taking that list and uploading it to Facebook/Instagram and seeing if you can get them to engage that way. and then opts back in through another email. Or there's other ways to go about that, or texting them if you have their phone number, and saying, hey, I've been sending you emails. I mean, that is a good practice I do, by the way. Like, if I have someone that's done something, and they have opted in something high level, I will text them and say, hey, I just want to make sure you got the email I just sent you. Because if my email ended in the promotions folder, I want them to go dig, pull it out, and tell their inbox, hey, this is an email I want. So a lot of times I will get emails back that say like, no, I couldn't find your email. I'm like, oh, check your promotions or spam folder. Then I'm not going to send them another one. I want them to go find it, dig it out, put it in their inbox. So their ESP learns this is a good email. I'm going to make sure all these emails end up in the inbox. So on those big lists, you can fix it. Absolutely can fix those big lists. But you got, and it sounds scary, you got to just sunset people. And then eventually what will happen is your IP, now we're getting into technical stuff, but I think it's important to mention, is your domain reputation with Google, with Yahoo maybe, but with Google, right, is going to get better and better and better. And it's like a snowball. So the more you just focus on the people engaging with your emails, the better your reputation is going to get. And then eventually those cold emails are going to land in inboxes, because right now those cold emails are going to promotions. So it's a long journey, but you can do it. And it's all based on segmenting on engagement. And it's so important, because when you're not segmenting on engagement, the people that want your emails are not going to get them. And that's sad. Like, there's people that are like, I wanted to do business with you, but I didn't get your email. So that's because you have a bad reputation. So that reputation is huge. And if you're just spamming like a cold list you bought, you're going to kill your reputation, and you're not going to deliver emails to people that want your emails. So it's a lot of hard work, but it's worth it. And you can make those big purchase lists work for sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Juliana, there's a question that just popped up around texting. Kind of follow up with Keith. Texting, is this a B2C thing? Is it a B2B thing? Can we text people?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's still, I feel like it's an early channel that B2C is exploring, but I feel like there are a lot of companies now that offer this, so why not do a free trial of it, see if it works. Some people are email people, some people are text people. I will not check my voicemail, and when my aunt calls me, I don't know what she called me about, because I never listened to it. So, there are different channels for different types of engagement, and if it works for your customer and that's the best way to reach them, I don't see why you shouldn't. It's not, you can't, again, like, this is this arbitrary divide between B2B and B2C, which is silly. If they're seeing good results, and I've heard that SMS is great for B2C, why not just steal that and try it for yourself? And especially if no other B2B companies are, you could be at the forefront of that. So I say go for it.
Yeah. I think as long as it's helpful, right? If
Yes.
if that text somehow makes their life better, then send it. But if
Yeah.
it doesn't, don't. And I can just write stop, and it stops coming through. So yeah, there's a little trust involved there, and we don't want to annoy people, and I froze.
Well, we can see you, but so with text, I don't know if maybe I'm frozen, but
I can see you.
With text, it's the same as email, right? You got to segment,
Yeah.
and you got to like wait, if people want it. I'm a big believer with engaging with people the way they want to be engaged with. So if they reply to my emails, I'm going to email them. If they're going to reply to my text only, I'm going to continue those text conversations. If they want to live chat on my website, I'm going to continue the conversation that way, Facebook Messenger, whatever it might be. So yeah, I think text is great. Some people would just prefer to text than email.
Absolutely.
Or both, right?
Or both. All right. Well, we're a couple minutes from the top, and I feel like, honestly, I could talk to both of you for hours, and I'm pretty sure everyone here would join me in that. So if you would, throw that in the chat. How long would you listen to this discussion? Probably longer than an hour. Maybe we'll have a part 2 later, but this has been fantastic. Perhaps you could both just throw out like your number one tip or parting shot or experience or story, or just something you could leave us all with.
Sure, I can go.
Yeah.
There's actually a really awesome repository of emails that I found out about through Twitter a couple weeks ago. So I figured I would give people something to check out after watching this. So it's called reallygoodemails.com, which is super easy to remember. So if you're more on the design side of things, or you want to see examples of copies and campaigns, you can kind of sort it by different types of email you're trying to look at. And they're always adding more to the repository. So I thought that would be a fun one for everyone who's interested in improving their emails to look at, just because I'm a visual learner and I love that it's got so many examples of layouts and stuff like that. And I know we were just talking about how images are bad, but so I guess maybe just take out the copy part of it.
Sure. But yeah, these are beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
Keith, what do you got?
Oh yeah. So, well, I saw someone saying, "Give me all the tech details." Like one thing I left out about tech that I think is really important, like clean your list, scrub your list. Like so, there's a few, there's plenty of programs that do this. One I use is Clean 13. Find out if the emails coming into you are good, right? So they might be malformed, meaning they did like .con, .cob. Like it's not a real email address. Don't email those people. Or Clean 13 will tell you this person is a complainer, like they mark spam a lot. This is a bot. If you're emailing spam bots, you're killing your domain reputation. So scrub your list, and you could do that with like an API, and just as the emails come in, it'll tell you if this is a good email to email or not. And there's a lot of details to that you could get into. And then number two is use Google Postmaster tools. I'm sure most people's lists look about 50% Gmail. So if you can do this, you just set up a little code. And so Google's Postmaster tools, and they'll tell you what your domain reputation is. Do it now, do it today. And if you find out your reputation is bad, you got to fix it because you want people getting the emails that they want to get. So, and then one thing on the copy side that you just made me think of, Juliana, is like, even yesterday I was having writer's cramp and I really needed to get this one promotional email out. My sale is ending at the end of the month, and I just have to write this one last email, and I just couldn't think of anything. Sometimes I just Google like good wedding subject lines or good whatever subject lines, and then I read what other people are writing, and then I put my own spin on it. It gets the wheels, so always use other people's examples. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, just you can always, and that's a great resource. I'm going to check out that website. It's like, so you don't have to like just like come up with everything out of thin air. See what other people are doing. Ask yourself, like, will it work for this email? And I went through maybe like 50 different subject lines till I found one. I'm like, oh, that one's perfect. And then I put my own spin on it. So
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So the copy's all out there. You just got to find it.
Right. I think my tip kind of falls along with that, which is like, am I here? You guys just started staring at me. This is April Fool's
on the
joke.
edge of my seat.
Oh my God, I froze up so much time. I'm so glad that you guys are the experts here because I froze so many times. Nobody even noticed because I just stared. My biggest tip is don't be alone. Don't be a stranger on an island. We've got this user group. We talked about it at the very beginning. It's the Par.Lifehacks user group. Whatever tool you have, come join the user group. And I actually want to ask Keith, Juliana, like if we would get you in there, would you do a little Q&A if we got you in a special group just answering some more of these questions? Because I know we could talk for days. Would you be interested in coming in there and just answering some questions? That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah. Invite me in anytime.
Cool. Get your expertise out there, for sure. And so, why don't you guys throw out, like, where's the best way to connect with you guys? User group for sure. Any other places? LinkedIn? What other places are good?
You can. I'm really active on Twitter. So Attack of the Text on Twitter. I'll write you back. You can also LinkedIn request me. Just say you came from here, so I don't think you're trying to sell me something.
Right. Beautiful. Keith?
Yeah. Probably LinkedIn would be the best. Send me a message. I'm not always posting on that, but I'm checking it every day and answering people's messages. So if anybody watching this wants help, find me on LinkedIn. I'd be more than happy to definitely help you out with your email deliverability. It's something I'm super excited about. So
yeah, it sounds like that we could get a little Q&A going, and that'll be fantastic, so that people that couldn't make it can ask you questions, especially if they couldn't do the Q&A. But see, that's the value of live, right? You come join live, you get to ask your question. So this has been great. For those people listening, thanks for joining us. Join that user group, and we will catch you all next time.
Awesome.